Hello, functional family. Today we're going to talk about inflammation. It is a very big problem in this country. A lot of it is a lifestyle and nutrition thing. We're going to talk about all these factors, but nearly every chronic disease is linked to inflammation. Studies from Harvard and Cleveland Clinic have shown that reducing inflammation through diet, exercise, and stress management can significantly lower the risk of chronic disease. For example, people who adopt an anti-inflammatory lifestyle have reduced rates of heart disease and improved cognitive performance. So overall, reducing inflammation isn't just about symptom relief, it's about extending lifespan and quality of life. There's two types of inflammation. There's acute inflammation and chronic inflammation. So acute inflammation is beneficial. It's what helps a sprained ankle heal or fights infections. But chronic inflammation is a slow, smoldering process that can silently damage tissue over years. Research shows chronic inflammation plays a role in disease like arthritis, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and depression. Biomarkers such as C-reactive protein, Li6, and TNF alpha have measured it. And the goal of this whole functional medicine process is to understand why this inflammation persists and to address it at the root cause. And this isn't necessarily what Western medicine does very well. So why do we want to reduce inflammation, and why does it matter? Because inflammation contributes to a lot of really big problems. Heart disease, the number one killer in the United States. Diabetes, that's on the rise. Autoimmune diseases like lupus, and then cognitive decline like Alzheimer's. These are the reasons we want to try to control this inflammation so these disease processes don't happen to us. So what are the root causes of chronic inflammation? These are some of them listed here: poor diet, gut dysbiosis, toxin exposure, stress, poor sleep, sedentary lifestyle. Each of these factors activates body's inflammation pathways. For instance, a poor diet rich in refined carbohydrates and trans fat promotes oxidative stress. Gut dysbiosis allows bacterial toxins to leak into the circulation. Chronic psychological stress elevates cortisol and inflammation. So functional medicine looks at these interconnections and it seeks to identify and treat the underlying cause rather than suppressing inflammation with medications alone. So diet and inflammation are directly related. So diet can either fuel or fight inflammation. So we want to adopt a whole food, plant-rich diet high in antioxidants and omega-3s. Food is one of the most powerful levers we have to control inflammation. Research consistently shows that diets like the Mediterranean diet or the DASH diet lower CRPs and Li6 levels. We need to eat colorful vegetables, fruits, olive oils, nuts, legumes, and fatty fish. These foods reduce oxidative stress and promote gut microbiome diversity. Every bite either fuels inflammation or fights it. Nutrition is medicine. So these are some of the key anti-inflammatory foods: berries, all kinds of berries, fatty fish, leafy greens, turmeric, ginger, nuts, and seeds. So berries contain polyphenols that inhibit inflammation enzymes. Omega-3s from fish or flaxseed lower TNF alpha and support brain health. Leafy greens provide magnesium, which helps calm the nervous system. Herbs like turmeric and ginger have well-documented anti-inflammatory compounds. Practical integration of all these foods by adding turmeric to soups or smoothies or teas can make a meaningful difference and decrease inflammation, of course. So what foods promote inflammation? Really, the standard American diet is what promotes inflammation. So processed food, refined sugars, trans fats, processed meats, which are a mainstay of the Western diet, promote inflammation. So studies have shown that refined sugars, high fructose corn syrup, and trans fat trigger insulin resistance and inflammatory cytokines. Processed meats are associated with increased CRP and oxidative damage. So if we can swap refined foods for whole foods, like for instance, brown rice instead of white, olive oil instead of vegetable oils, and lean proteins instead of processed meats. This will help reduce this inflammation response, and that's changing our lifestyle and diet. So there is a very direct connection between gut health and inflammation. So a healthy gut lowers inflammation, systemic inflammation. And if you have a damaged gut, what we need to do is we need to repair the gut barrier and balance the microbiota. So balance those good bacteria that's in the gut. But the gut is the central hub of the immune system. About 70% of the immune system resides there. When the gut barrier becomes permeable, leaky gut, toxins and microbiomes leak into the bloodstream, activating the immune response. Research in Nature Reviews Immunology shows that restoring gut integrity lowers systemic inflammation. So we need to support gut health with probiotics and prebiotic fiber and gut healing nutrients. So this picture shows onto the right the damaged cells that are in the gut and how they there's a space between them where all of this bacteria and things that enter, undigested food enters the bloodstream to create that immune response. And this is what we don't want. So this is what we want to repair. So let's talk about the stress inflammation connection. So chronic stress raises cortisol levels and the inflammation cytokinins. So practice mindfulness and breathing exercises is very important. So chronic physiologic stress is one of the most overlooked sources of inflammation. When cortisol levels remain high, the body becomes resistant to its effects, leading to immune dysregulation. Mindfulness, prayer, breathing exercise, and a time in nature can lower IL-6 and TNF-alpha. Research from Carnegie Mellon University found that meditation directly decreased inflammatory gene expression. So we need daily habits that calm the nervous system. So exercise and movement have a direct effect on inflammation, and it actually lowers inflammation. So we want to aim for about 150 minutes of moderate exercise a week or 75 minutes of vigorous exercise a week. So exercise activates anti-inflammatory molecules called myokines, which help regulate metabolism and immune health. Regular movement improves insulin sensitivity and reduces visceral fat, two major inflammatory drivers. Studies show that even a brisk walking 30 minutes per day lowers the CRP levels. We need to find an activity that we enjoy, whether it's yoga, cycling, dancing, and we need to be consistent with our movement patterns each day and make sure we hit these numbers per week. Sleep and the circadian rhythm and how that affects inflammation. So poor sleep increases inflammation. We need to have 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. We need to have about 1 hour to 2 hours of deep sleep and 2 to 3 hours of REM sleep. So sleep is when our body repairs and restores our cells. When sleep is poor or irregular, our CRP and IL-6 levels rise. Consistent sleep-wake cycles, darkened rooms, and avoiding screens before bed will significantly increase that deep sleep and the REM sleep. So we need to view sleep as a powerful anti-inflammatory therapy. Research from the NIH show that improved sleep quality can reverse metabolic inflammation within weeks. So environmental toxins are directly linked to inflammation. Toxins burden detox pathways and drive our inflammation. So if we have reduced exposure to these toxins, that will overall decrease our inflammation. Our environment can fuel inflammation through exposures to heavy metals, pesticides, and endocrine disruptors. These toxins activate oxidative stress pathways and impair mitochondria. Simple steps. that we can do to eliminate these. We use water filters. We can avoid plastic containers and use organic foods or eat organic foods when possible. So we need to support detoxification through sweating, like sauna and exercise, hydration, drinking our half our body weight in ounces of water, liver support food like vegetables. These are all important things we can do to help with detoxification. So nutrient and supplement support are a great way to fight inflammation. So some of the key supplements: omega-3s, curcumin, vitamin D3 with K2, magnesium, NAC, and glutathione. Each of these nutrients has a solid evidence-based research for lowering inflammation. Omega-3s produce pro-resolving mediators. Curcumin modulates the NF-κB signaling. Vitamin D regulates immune responses and has been shown to lower the CRP in deficient individuals. Magnesium supports hundreds of enzyme reactions, including anti-inflammatory ones. NAC and glutathione replenish antioxidants and reduce oxidative stress. So a personalized supplementation plan is needed to reduce inflammation. So there's some new research that help with decreasing inflammation, and these are pro-resolving mediators. So omega-3s form specialized pro-resolving mediators, SPM, that help end inflammation. So SPMs are a newer area of research showing how the body actively resolves inflammation. Derived from EPA and DHA, they help clear cellular debris and restore tissue balance. Unlike anti-inflammatories that suppress the immune system, SPMs guide it back to homeostasis. Clinical trials show SPM supplementations can improve outcomes in conditions like arthritis and metabolic syndrome. There's certain labs that we can measure our inflammation. So, for instance, the hsCRP, the Li6, TNF alpha, ferritin, these are all lab markers that we can measure our inflammation. These biomarkers offer objective data for tracking inflammation. The hsCRP reflects systematic inflammation. The IL-6 and the TNF alpha indicate cytokine activity, and ferritin can be elevated due to chronic inflammations. So labs provide feedback for lifestyle intervention. So functional medicine uses them as tools for progression and not just diagnostics. So this is an 8-week action plan to reduce inflammation. We start off with the elimination diet. Then we add anti-inflammatory foods. We begin a movement plan and a meditation plan. We start to work on managing stress, and we prioritize sleep. This 8-week plan removes triggers and reintroduces clean foods and builds new habits. Also, journaling is a good way just to track your energy, digestion, and mood through this whole 8-week program. Research shows that inflammation biomarkers can improve within weeks when patients follow a structured plan. So we just need to start small and make some small steps, and that'll start to compound into long-term healing. And so then after we've been through these changes and adopt these changes, this isn't a temporary thing. This is long-term. This is just a complete lifestyle change, a healthier lifestyle change. So we want to maintain these lifestyle changes that we just adopted. We want to keep an anti-inflammatory diet in place. We want to make sure we exercise regularly. We have to get good sleep. And then every once in a while, we need to do some periodic detox support. So once inflammation is reduced, the focus shifts to the maintenance program, consistency with small, sustainable routines. It's a lifelong practice. And then it's a good idea that we review our labs every 6 to 12 months to make sure that all our lab markers are within range. So, lifestyle integration, nutrition, exercise, stress management, and spiritual well-being reinforce one another. Healing is multidimensional. Body, mind, and spirit all contribute to inflammation balance. Inflammation is not your fate. You are not stuck with it for the rest of your life. It's a signal that the body needs support. Through nutrition, movement, sleep, and mindset, you can reverse chronic inflammation and experience renewed vitality. Take one small step today, perhaps improving breakfast or walking after dinner, and build from there.